Hello YouTube, Chance Paladin here, coming at you with part 8 of my internal auditor training slash management slash office politics, whatever. Um, I this is my last completed training presentation that I have, and I call this training only because it seems to end up, I don't know, it ends up helping people. It's really more a set of helpful stuff that just happens to be put in the same place, and I don't know how to categorize it, and only one little tidbit of all of these is really legitimately anything I came up with all by myself. So I don't claim any of this except for that one little bit to be mine. Just giving my personal history and feedback. So this will be the last one, but it's very important because it deals with something that almost everybody gets wrong. And the reason why they get this wrong is because people are really good at giving negative feedback, and they are really bad at giving positive feedback. And that's because there's been so much written on punishment and corrective action, behavior correction, but very little on incentivizing, rewarding good behavior. And that doesn't mean just giving everybody a gold star. It means tailoring every single piece of reward and recognition that you ever give. So, let's get started. So the agenda on this one: rewards, recognition, and incentives, and how they relate to counter behavior and motivation. These build this presentation builds on all of my prior ones put together, and most specifically the episode 7 or module 7, whatever you want to call it. So if you missed that one, definitely check the playlist. It should be on the right. I mean, YouTube changes like every day, but this should be on YouTube and as a part of a playlist. So if you can, check out part 7. But I try to recap as best I can. So here's the introduction. Question 1. This is a question for you guys and gals. When was the last time someone told you good job? And more to the point, if somebody actually has told you, how genuine did it actually feel? How legitimate? Now, think about that for a second. Pause it if you have to. When was the last time, this is question 2, when was the last time someone else got praised and you didn't? Have you ever been sitting there in your cube and the manager, supervisor, maybe even a higher manager, supervisor, maybe you were in a department meeting or town hall, and somebody congratulated somebody else in the department that you know doesn't do anything? And think about that for a second, how absolutely ridiculous that is, okay? That's what I'm talking about. The majority of employees seek periodic rewards, recognition, and incentives beyond their normal pay rate. Management knows this, HR knows this. All of the different employee feedback scores always have recognition along the bottom. Same thing with pay rate. People never feel like they're being compensated enough. Even if they're getting paid industry standard, because they think their work is always worth more than what they actually do. And even if they're doing their day-to-day job, they think they do it so well, or they think they're doing so much that they need extra, even though they're just doing their job and they get compensated for doing their job. But they think that because they do their job, they should get a pat on the back and extra compensation, and it's whatever, okay? If you're not bringing in any more money, if you're not saving any more money, you're only doing your job. So let's try to move past that. It's in the attention to detail that management gives these situations that will or will not remind employees that they are valued as an individual for their unique perspectives and skills that they bring to the company. Now that means, like, if you're a little kid and there's a gold stars, or I talked to my friend and he completed a race and he did very good in the race, only to find out that he got literally the exact same trophy as everybody else. The congratulations, you attended, and it was just an absolute insult. And not that you should seek that stuff, but if you get it, that's it's just ridiculous. Or if you've got a completely irrelevant Employee of the Month program, which I talked to another friend. So it's the attention to detail that makes or breaks these programs. There's also the misuse of opportunities that lead to varying degrees of envy and possibly resentment. I remember a specific program where if you got perfect scores, you got a financial reward. And then come to find out that the company didn't actually have enough money to reward everybody. So they told management that they had to grade a certain amount down because they didn't want to pay, or they couldn't or didn't want to. And this was also tied to their promotability. And it, in one fell swoop, destroyed morale across the whole company. These things are massive. This is not to be overlooked by any means. So we'll go into a little more detail. Before you can properly reward or incentivize, you must understand motivations. Back to presentation 7. You must have also gone through the thought process of whether a reward is appropriate or if it is enough to just punish or correct failure. Some people reward failure, some people punish failure, reward success, so on and so forth. You got to figure out what method you want to do. If management is sitting there rewarding themselves over and over and over and over, despite the company failing, rewarding the employees might not seem appropriate, for example. You have to try to figure out what's best for your personal situation, personalized situation. You can punish for failures, but at the same time, you to have the moral high ground, you need to make sure that the goals are actually feasible. You can't tell people that the customers are first, but have no metrics that measure customer satisfaction. I see that across the whole board. I emailed DSM, District Service Manager, again over the weekend. I went to a popular shop, won't name their name. Part of their Wi-Fi still wasn't working for my 3DS, which was the main reason why I was going there. And it was, for the second or third day in a row, just as hot, if not hotter, inside than it was outside. And I know that sounds like, first world problems or whatever, but if you're going to do business somewhere, it should be conducive to doing business. I know that sounds weird or something, but that's just what I believe. A mild set of comfort is part of doing business. And I don't know. Point being, I got an absolute ridiculous canned response back. Oh, I'll tell the management of that store. What? I'm pretty sure the management of that store can't do anything about it. Because I'm pretty sure I've talked to them about it a couple times. Okay? It's got to go up to corporate, which means it's sooner or later going to have to go through the DSM. The DSM should be making their rounds, and they should already know that something's wrong with that store, and that it's not a people problem, it's a system problem. And somebody somewhere needs to get their hand slapped for not getting this taken care of. And it's probably not at the store level, it's probably at the corporate level. So you have to figure out, if customer service is important, there has to be, a sacrifice. You can't just magically earn customer service in customer satisfaction. You have to work for it. And you need to incentivize it properly. Because no matter how good anybody does, that's still going to be miserable to go in that store. It's still going to be too hot. Too hot to go in there. And then as a customer, you feel 10 times worse for the employees, because they are not looking good in all that heat. It's just not good. And then you don't want to shop there even more. You don't want to do business there even more. And so measuring those people on customer satisfaction right now would be extremely unfair. So that's why it's kind of a long way around that example. So you need to also choose a reward appropriate for a business setting. That's how all the investment bankers got in so much trouble, giving themselves bajillion-dollar bonuses, basically stealing money. That's crazy, letting people that already make 6 figures, 7 figures, write their own bonuses and their golden parachutes. And I'm not going into the whole top 1% thing. What I'm, blaming the rich. What I'm saying is, there has to be a balance. Like, in the next city over, the school superintendent, I believe it was, passed up their raise like 4 years in a row or something, because things weren't going well. Things are going a little bit better now, Everybody else got their raises, and it was time for them to get their raise. And so their raise thing came around. Their raise was authorized in the whole 9 yards. They didn't ask for it. It's the one that just comes around. And they decided to take their raise, which they earned. They more than earned. They earned it many times over. And everybody just flipped. And the superintendent's like, hey, I have the moral high ground here. And they did. But everybody still gave them hell for it. And it's important that people recognize the sustainability behind that. And there was a popular fast food chain where everybody wanted more and more and more and more money, and they showed them talking about how they don't have money, and the people were there with jewelry and iPhones and talking about how they've got 2 or 3 kids to raise and they can't make enough money at the fast food chain. It's like, well, what kind of compensation would you think was appropriate? You flip a burger, which is a pain, but it takes absolutely zero education. And it's not meant to be a career. And nobody said you had to have kids or an iPhone, and your lack of lifestyle planning doesn't entitle you to the rewards that you want. So, or the rewards / compensation / whatever. You've got to be able to figure out what's fair and balanced. Now, I use the word fair, but it's about being sustainable. It's what's sustainable to keep a company running. I would no sooner say that it was okay for the CEO to steal money than I would say for the person at the bottom. Everything's got to be sustainable. So, most companies have a limit of some sort based on the nature of rewards, such as closing a business deal or a term of service milestone. And so make sure you have your manager's approval first if the reward exceeds the anti-corruption amounts. If you're giving somebody some kind of monetary reward or taking them out to dinner, if you're doing some kind of smaller incentive. I can't emphasize that enough. Anti-corruption is turning into a witch hunt. And vendors, suppliers, businesses, and I want to use the pharmaceutical industry as an example, or just the doctor industry in general, still have very, very large incentive programs, and I don't expect that to last forever. So, if somebody, and a lot of HR programs will already tell you this, so you should already know it, but if you keep getting rewards from somebody, even if you're not doing anything shady or morally gray, if you keep getting rewards and they're expensive, I use reward loosely, you might need to declare it anyway, or if you have some kind of regulatory internal department, say, I keep getting $100 gift cards and I don't know what the deal is. Can you check in on this? I haven't spent them. I don't know who they're coming from. I'm not doing anything for anybody. You can check. I'm clear. And those are very real situations. Things like going to a basketball game with vendors, or going to even going out to golf and stuff, which a lot of people still do. I know I'm just rambling off a lot of stuff, but These are very real things that happen all the time. And recognition can be a double-edged sword, you know. So incentives, be very, very, very careful when giving or receiving incentives. That's why I wrote this asterisk here. You will have to decide what setting and audience are appropriate for giving recognition, rewards recognition. And I believe I get into that. Alright, I reorganized my slides a little bit. I'm not sure what order these really should be in, because this is probably this is my most complete, or my furthest complete, but least developed. But you have to make sure you get your recognitions right. So I briefly mentioned this on part 7, but do your homework before recognizing the person. Make sure your data is correct. I've seen people get terms of service wrong all the time. I've seen people get birthdays wrong all the time. Even if, simple recognition like that. Make sure if the item's personalized, that has the correct information. I've seen recognition be given out in the wrong location. I've seen recognition given for people who aren't there, for who have the day off. It's those kinds of personal touches. It just makes or breaks the whole thing. Make sure there isn't outlying information. I know it's very common now for contractors or external type employees to get completely hosed on terms of service due to HR technicalities or mergers, acquisitions. So make sure you check with HR on what their real terms of service is. Make sure what they would unofficially believe their terms of service are, so you can let them know that you're recognizing both, even though one says like 6 years or whatever. Say, look, they've been here for 9, they've been here full time for 6, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, that's amazing. Something to that effect. And I write some examples there of things to think about, because the HR rules everywhere is different. But person A gets recognized for their first year with the company, but they were previously a contractor. Person B gets recognized for the 5th year, but it's their second set of 5 because they had a child in the middle. Person C is there for 1 year, but it's because their last company got absorbed. I've seen all 3 of these. In some cases, you can get your time rolled up. In some cases, you can't. It may not matter to you now, but it may matter in 10 years, 20 years down the road. So think about it. And if you're a manager, consider these things before you recognize somebody. Because it could potentially be very important to the person that you're talking to. So it needs to be important to you too. Again, this slide sort of could have been anywhere, but misusing or abusing rewards and recognition can cause 2 kinds of envy. This actually should probably be way up more at the top, but it was this information that inspired me to do this when I heard it on a program. But I'd never seen it documented anywhere before. And so again, this is not my information. It's just information that I want to share because I feel like it's really important. It doesn't get spread out enough. It doesn't get disseminated. But if you choose to ignore this information, you do so at a huge risk. You can cause very, very, very malicious envy. Maybe you're doing that on purpose because you're sick or have some ulterior motive, or maybe you're completely innocent, but it's very easy to do. Don't do it. Make sure you're not, quote unquote, throwing the employee under the bus by recognizing them if they've got some coworkers that are extremely nasty, talking, about other presentations where I talk about some of the other behavior types in that right column, the negative column. You have to be really careful. You may only want to secretly give them a reward and say, I think it may be more comfortable if I reward you or, recognize you one-on-one than if I recognize you in front of the whole department. I don't know how you'd word it, but if your department has a culture of them basically trying to eat each other, that's what you're going to want to do. Especially if you're like giving them a raise, like a permanent raise. Let them know this is between us, this is private. Your compensation's being bumped up because of your contributions in this department. The employees are not allowed to speak with each other about their compensation. Talk to HR about how to address that. So, yeah. Things like birthdays, terms of service. Some people don't even like people knowing their birthday. Or they might be okay with their birthday, but not how many years. I worked with a coworker, and actually, unfortunately, I had to miss his birthday this year because I don't work there anymore. But it breaks my heart because I didn't miss his birthday for 6 or 7, 8 years or something like that. But me and him had the same birthday, and he was a great guy. He served our country for a very long time. And I was the only person that knew his birthday for years. And the reason why I knew his birthday is because we had the same birthday. And my wife had sent me balloons. And he's like, what the heck? Why do you have those? He's like, are you playing some kind of joke on me or something? And I'm like, no, dude. I'd only been there for like 2 months, 3 months. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's my birthday today. And we had been friends ever since. For like 7, 8 years. 7, 8 years we were friends. And then, unfortunately, they ended up not renewing my contract after tons of renewals. But he didn't want anyone to know even his birthday. That's how private he was. And so be very careful. Very, very careful. Follow your HR's rules and be very cognizant and empathetic. Alright, so I like to end with a little case study. This really happened. Dang, man, I swear. Spell check. So, this really happened to me. I'll never forget this. It was so weird. This was back in. Oh, this was a while ago. I was in a meeting. We were discussing the next year of how to do employee recognition. And we had the full gamut of people from the bottom to the top and it was an open discussion of what we can do, and somebody made the comment, actually two people made the comment, that when management was being negative, it seemed genuine and spot on, while recognition seemed phony, half-hearted, and forced. And everybody agreed. And one of the managers said one of the most unbelievable things that I've ever heard. I don't understand why employees aren't recognizing management more often. And I still can't believe that manager said that to this day. It was the most insulting. Well, I want to say top 5 because I can't think of the rest right now. But it was so incredibly insulting. I wanted to say, listen, first of all, you make 6 figures with a nice chunk of change into that 6 figures. Second of all, you get a company car. Third of all, you don't have to do anything. You just assume more responsibility. I mean, I just wanted to go down the line. Boom, 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 boom. You work whenever you want. You get to do whatever you want. You get immense recognition from your manager all the time. You get to say whatever you want. Everybody has to layer their day around you. You kind of just fumble through everything. Everybody's doing everything for you. Like, it just floored me. It floored me. But I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? We didn't have anything to say back to her. We just changed the subject because we knew that was a room full of really smart people, and we knew that there was no way to discuss that. That manager was completely disconnected, and not all management would have agreed with that manager, but some would. And the fact that one did means that a couple do. And the fact that a couple do means that it's worth thinking about. Not like they have teacher appreciation day, manager appreciation day. I think if your manager is a mentor and they're appreciated, that the appreciation is going to come naturally, and they will feel appreciated because they are doing things that are appreciative. If all they do is just rubber stamp everything, what do you want for that? When you have manufactured a giant brick wall in your whole entire department's methodology and processes, you want recognition for allowing them to do the things that you hired them to do? It just blows my mind. So you need to be, a gate, not a wall. If that makes sense. I don't know. It's like you've ever heard that you make a better door than a window or something like that. I don't know. You need to be a window instead of a door. I don't know. I could write an entire book about that department. But point being, recognition is a very tricky subject. It's very sensitive. Everybody believes on some level that they should be recognized somehow. Only problem is most of them won't tell you what that is. It's kind of a secret. They like to keep it a mystery, and they almost enjoy the fact that people don't know because it gives them power and leverage. They don't want to give it up because it's almost like it's the opposite of them letting people know what hurts them. You know, they don't want to let it out. It just gives people more power. But if you're a responsible manager and you're a good manager, you should be able to find a good balance and find a good, safe way of rewarding and recognizing your employees, your coworkers, or if you're an auditor, the people that you audit. It doesn't have to be anything that would compromise the audit, but it's as simple as thanking them for their time, saying that they were cooperative, making sure that it was a positive experience, making sure that you let them know that you thought it was a positive experience, and telling them that they did well. You know, you don't take them all out for lunch, or then certainly don't let them take you out for lunch, but I've seen auditors get taken out for dinner and lunch and stuff before, and there's good ways to do it and there's bad ways to do it. And so I don't want to get into that now, but learn how to do rewards recognition and incentives properly. So if you can do it, when managed and utilized properly, it will allow you to capitalize on your counter behavior efforts. Knowing situationally and in context how to properly reward, recognize, and incentivize allow you to properly motivate people how they are motivated best. Yeah. So I guess like I keep saying with everything else, learn your HR's rules. Learn. Hopefully they have rules on this. And coupling this with the other counter behavior that I've talked about, where you're figuring out how to use your resources to their best, and learning what motivates your resources, and you should have a very productive work environment to where you're happy to see your department every day, whether you're an employee or a manager. Coming to work every day, happy to see everybody. Not just a bunch of formality and then everyone being pissed at each other the rest of the day and nitpicking, sniping, and trying to take everybody out to the unemployment office. So, unfortunately, this is my last presentation. I'm going to try to make more, but it just depends. I've made all of these out of necessity because I keep running into problems where the information's not all documented in the same place. And it's not just about work, it's about life, it's about everything. So if I do more of these, they may be less work focused and more life focused. I don't know, but I hope you liked my little internal auditing, / training / office politics, and I hope you liked it. I have one more, but it's only a series of thoughts. It's not complete. It was about empathy and sympathy. As I keep bringing up empathy and sympathy a lot, that's brought up in emotional intelligence training a lot. I think that's a work skill, but also a life skill. I'm gonna try to write it in a way to where it's more relevant to life and make it non-specific to work in the office, but in a way to where you can apply it to whatever you want. So I can't promise that's going to come anytime soon, but the thing is, I just want everybody to take care of themselves and take care of each other. Things are getting worse and worse, and people are getting stupider and stupider. And it doesn't seem to be turning around. So, the smarter you are, the more empathetic you are, you can circumvent the apathy and the indifference. And even if you can't fix the whole world, if you can just have a good department, even if you can't have a perfect company, if you can at least have a good core team, whether it be at home or at work, or in whatever organization, church group, social group, having a healthy support structure is what's going to get you through these hard times, no matter what you're doing. Whether it be an auditor, or a leader, a mentor, a supervisor, a manager. Having a good team is what's going to get you through this. So, take care of yourselves, and thanks for watching. And I'm going to make sure this is in the playlist. Check out the rest of the videos in the playlist if you haven't. And thanks for watching. And leave questions, comments down below if you have them. There's been so much great feedback. I really appreciate it. And that's honestly what kept me going to record all these. So thanks again. And this has helped me. I would go through these all the time to get ready for new jobs, or meet new people. So I hope these help you if you have to meet new people or meet new situations to get rid of that anxiety. So I'm just going to stop rambling and shut this off. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.